This is Rob Tebbutt for Behind the Gloves. I'm here with Kalle Sauerland after George Groves' spectacular 4th round TKO win over Jamie Cox.
Yeah.
Kalle, what did you make of the fight?
You know, I thought it was a cracking fight while it lasted. I thought Jamie had his moments. First couple of rounds were a nice, real ding-dong. I thought in the end, let's say the experience and range of punches that George has, and he has a huge range of punches, and he pulled them all out tonight. And it was a spectacular finish. You know, one of those. Last week we obviously saw a big head KO. This was one of the biggest body punches you'll ever see. It was huge.
Now, as somebody who obviously had a massive hand, if not the biggest hand, in putting Jamie Cox into the tournament, did you get what you expected from him in this fight? I mean, a lot of people were writing him off coming into the fight, and do you think he'd give a good account of himself?
People who write him off, they need to examine a little bit about Jamie Cox's history. Jamie Cox is one of, you know, he never was in the golden generation of gold medals of the amateurs, but Jamie Cox was one of has a real amateur pedigree. There's a lot of amateur fighters. He's a very, very gifted technical fighter who also packs a punch. Now, I think you saw that inside those 4 rounds tonight, and I think he's got not only has he got a huge potential, but I think he showed tonight that, you know, he can go on and do things. He has to go off and learn from this. I mean, he ultimately lost against a very, very good world champion, the best world champion in the weight class at the moment, the only world champion in the weight class who's beaten another of the current world champions. So, you know, that makes him, for me, the man to beat very much in the division. Why he's #1 seed in the tournament.
Now, somebody who's worked with George, probably in like the latest chapter of his much documented long journey, I mean, this is something that I asked Shane McGuigan, how is George different now to the fighter that you first signed to Sauerland?
Well, we signed him after the first Froch fight, between the Froch fights. But George boxed on my undercards when he was coming through. So I've had an eye on George all along. George is someone that, as a promoter, as a friend and a promoter, you get heart attacks watching, but in terms of delivering value for money to the public, it's very difficult to see George Groves in a bad fight. It doesn't really exist, you know. So it is, you know, when we put the tournament together, the first person in the weight class we wanted in was George Groves for that reason. He's guaranteed entertainment. You know, he boxes an open style. He's certainly not defensive. He makes no qualms about that. He's about, you know, he's the equivalent of a team, you know, like a Brazil. You know, he'd rather win 4-3 than 1-0 in football terms. That's George Groves, and that always excites. And over my role now as chief boxing officer of the World Boxing Super Series, or as in the past also as George's promoter. It's an exciting athlete to be involved with, and a very, very special person as well. Very nice guy.
Now, another fighter in the World Boxing Super Series who is also quite exciting is Chris Eubank Jr. Now, that's obviously who George Groves will face in the next round. As somebody who is involved, or you're the head of the World Boxing Super Series, how excited are you to be making that fight?
Well, I think, first of all, Eubank Jr. for me, he really came alive last weekend. I mean, I watched him obviously in the Abraham fight, very impressive, but he seems to be getting better and better. Very busy fighter, very, very busy fighter. Also outside the ring, I must say, an absolute gent, very nice guy. And both of them similar in that respect, both nice guys outside the ring, an absolute beast inside the ring. You know, already in the first face-off, I promised it before the fight, I said, whoever wins, there's going to be a face-off in the ring. You know, you got it. And you could already feel the energy off him. There was some real energy coming off there, and then that's going to get more exciting in the build-up. And I think we'll all be privileged, whether we're promoting it, fans of it, or we're following it as a media. You know, it's a super fight, and it's two guys who, you know, are extremely gifted.
Both inside and out the ring.
I was just about to say, and both extremely gifted characters as well. You know, they're both showmen. You know, Eubank obviously comes from a family of showmen. You know, but he's very, you know, people say he's similar, but he's actually very different to the dad. That's what I feel. I think, you know, he's very much in his own right. You know, and I think he came out very much last weekend when he, for me, that ring walk through that Turkish crowd was nuts. The way he kept his composure. And then, you know, on the other corner you got George, and George for me is someone who also oozes that star quality. So you've got real two guys who do appeal and to the public, and when you got them together in the ring, of course, it's a great thing to be involved with.
So you've got that wry smile on your face, Kalle. How big a fight is this? I mean, it feels like to me that you're holding it in. It feels like you're very excited about this fight. How big a fight can this be?
I think the public will judge that for themselves. You know, if I'm talking promoter talk, you're talking mega fights. You know, this is for me. You know, I think certainly up there with the biggest of the super middleweight fights that they and we haven't had the fight yet, and we haven't had the build up yet. But when we get there, I think we'll be saying this will go down as one of the biggest super middleweight fights in British history. I'm sure.
And just finally, Kalle, because I'm sure that you'd like to go and rest. It's been a quite punishing, grueling tour so far.
6 weeks, 2 weeks to go, and then we got the quarterfinals done. But I'm enjoying every minute of it. New Jersey next week. That'll be also a good fight.
Yeah, well, just finally, I wanted to get your opinion on some comments that have come out of America from Ludabella regarding Eddie Hearn. Now, I know that you've worked with Eddie in the past. There's been some comments about Eddie's expansion, as it were, into America, into the American market with Matchroom USA. Just wanted to know if you had any thoughts or any comments on that?
You know, I've heard there's a couple of interviews flying about. I've got to admit that this week, the last 6 weeks, I haven't had a chance to look at any interviews of any other promoters. Although I normally do, I enjoy it. I love social media and watching it and stuff. I'm not the most active promoter on social media. I'm trying to improve that. But what I would say that, you know, the US boxing market is very, for me, very fragmented at the moment. Some strange things going on right now, and you know, I think if you look at, you know, there seems to be sort of two sides building up, and I think Eddie, of course, going over to take on the USA. I think it sounds great. I don't know. I haven't spoken to Eddie about it, but I think people might be making a bit too much of that. I think Eddie signed Danny Jacobs. I don't think Eddie intends to be the new Don King. That's my.
It's not what he said to me yesterday.
Okay, maybe I've got his business plans all wrong, but I'm assuming that he's going to take it step by step, and you know, see where the journey goes. You know, he's got his first show there now, and he's very good at doing what he does. He's very good at doing what he does, and you know, I've put on with Eddie, I think, 15 fights in world title fights in the last 4 years. You know, starting with Frochkester 2 was our first fight together, but we've done about, I would say, probably about 15 fights. I'm up about 10-5. I let him have 5. Unfortunately, with a couple of quite important ones. Froch Groves 2 was painful, but there's, you know, it's a very healthy working relationship we have, and I get on very well with him, and you know, hats off, you know, to try and go to America. Why not? You know, it's you know, it's in a way what we're doing with the World Boxing Super Series. We're trying to go around the world as well, but we're open to working with everyone. I don't think Eddie is going to say I don't want to work with Lou DiBella, or I don't want to work with this person. I think you know, something in boxing you have to be open to work with everyone, and you know, we're working with 9 different promoters in the World Boxing Super Series, and I have worked with Lou DiBella in the past, and we'll work with him in the future, and I'm sure Eddie will as well. I think it's a bit of fun and games. Okay, great. Well, Kalle Sauerland, thank you very much for speaking to Behind the Gloves. Thanks for an excellent show tonight. We look forward to the rest of the World Boxing Super Series. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking right here.